Hello plant friends, and welcome back to my balcony here in Western Sydney. In my last video I spoke about common pests that I see here on my balcony and some of the treatments for managing them. This week I'm looking at some other problems that can occur in our artificial environments, and that is namely molds and mildew that occur. My name's Alonia and I'm a novice orchid grower here in subtropical Western Sydney. I am learning how to grow these beautiful plants in my extremely wacky climate and figuring out the hard way what works for me here on my balcony. Why balcony orchids are prone to problems. As previously mentioned, with our subtropical climate, which in summer includes some very warm overnight temperatures up to 37 degrees Celsius, the occasional mad rainstorm, and as a result some very high humidity levels, balconies that are protected from above, especially those with solid walls like mine here, often lack airflow and can take a while to dry out. The dead spaces in far-flung areas are protected corners and can very rapidly become susceptible to mould and mildew taking hold. The first of the three main fungal issues is powdery mildew, and it's fairly easy to spot. It looks like a white powdery coating on the leaves, sometimes on buds. It looks similar to a dusting of talcum powder across the surface of a leaf. It thrives in warm climates with cool nights and in areas with poor airflow. So I would be starting to look for this now as our daytime temperatures are beginning to rise, but the overnight temperatures are still fairly cool. You also will often see it on gourd type plants such as pumpkins, zucchinis and some melons. To prevent it from taking hold, I've taken a few precautions. I've improved air circulation by installing a small solar powered fan, which helps dry out any damp areas and preventing stale spots. Avoid overhead watering and water directly to the roots using either a watering can or a pumped spray bottle on jet stream. To treat powdery mildew, wipe the leaves down with a damp cloth to remove any spores. Spray with a fungicide safe for orchids. Look for products containing sulfur or potassium bicarbonate, or for a gentle DIY option, mix milk and water, 1 part milk to 10 parts water, which can help slow the spread. I've not tried this, however, if you have, please do let me know in the comments below if it's worked for you. As part of my spring cleaning for this year, I pulled the racks away from the wall and scrubbed the walls with plain hot soapy water. I then sprayed the walls down with a Yates Rose fungus gun, which I happen to just have on hand. So far, success. Just a reminder, when you are looking for a fungicide, do check that it does treat for powdery mildew on the back of the box. This one here is an eco-fungicide and it is rated for powdery mildew and black spot. The next issue is leaf spot diseases, including black spot and anthracnose, which show up as small dark patches that spread, especially in damp weather. If left untreated, they can cause the leaves to gradually go yellow and drop off. Anthracnose simply means ulcer-like sore and is caused by a group of different fungi. This particular disease is fairly identifiable and usually starts at the leaf tip with brown or black patches running down the leaf and is often accompanied by a yellow halo around the lesion. Thankfully, it's not too difficult to treat if you catch it early enough. The easiest way to avoid it is to provide a good airflow between your plants. My Silogene Janine Banks here acquired a fungal infection after she got hit pretty hard by a dendrobium beetle earlier this year, and I did have to remove 8 of her leaves. And I treated her with mancozeb per the application instructions on the container. It took about 3 months and her new foliage growth came back spot-free. For mild cases, simply improving the culture conditions such as reducing moisture on the leaves, better light and improved airflow often stops it in its tracks. Remove all affected leaves with sterile scissors, and I use an isopropyl alcohol and do wash my snips regularly to help maintain sanitary conditions. Apply a copper-based fungicide or mancozeb, which I like to have mancozeb on hand. It is a powder that you reconstitute, and always read the labels for application directions. I spray early in the day, giving the leaves ample time to dry. I water in the morning during spring, and I also choose to use a watering can to avoid overhead watering. Keep the plants spaced out for airflow and don't stack your plants too densely if you can avoid it. One of the few tools I have is the solar power fan from Sproutwell Greenhouses. Being powered by solar, it's fairly self-sustaining and it has a long lead so that I can easily position it to where it is needed the most at any given time, and I'll link it below. It does come with a mains power cord, so I can plug it into mains power and it allows me to run it on non-sunny days. Thankfully, I don't have the next one, which is botrytis or grey mould, and it's heartbreaking because it attacks the flowers. You'll first see little brown specks that quickly turn into a fuzzy grey mould, especially in cool or wet weather or after rain. I went to a New to Me meeting last month, and the talk was on identifying different culture problems, and the president of the club brought a flower stalk in. It had about 20 flower buds on it, and every single flower was infected with botrytis. It was devastating for him because he had a plan to use the plant in a display as the centerpiece, and as I understand it, it was also an awarded plant. Now, thankfully for me, I don't have this fungal infection in my orchids, and I hope my practices here can help prevent it. Remove any infected flowers immediately and dispose of the affected blooms in the regular bin. Don't compost them. You don't want the spores in your compost bin readily spread around your garden, infecting other plants when the conditions are right. Keep humidity moderate, which is between 50 and 70%, and increase airflow around blooming orchids. So either increase the space between plants during flowering or add a fan. When the blooms are taken care of, spray with a fungicide labelled for botrytis if the outbreak is severe, and mancozeb in the label is labelled for botrytis. And prevention is key, so protect the flowers from cold and damp conditions. Now, I have mentioned 3 particular fungicides in this video. I've got the Yates fungus gun, I have the Eco fungicide from OCP, and I also have Yates mancozeb powder, which I reconstitute per the label on the back. The Yates fungus gun is a systemic fungicide which is listed for roses, flowers and other ornamentals, and I have used it to good effect on my orchids with no issues. OCP Eco fungicide, this is typically used on roses, grapevines and vegetables, and is a contact fungicide with potassium bicarbonate as the active ingredient. And this one is particularly useful against powdery mildew, black spot and rust. Mancozeb Plus is a garden fungicide plus miticide, and this covers a couple of different problems. It is specifically listed as effective against both powdery mildew and botrytis, and the label states that it can also be used against anthracnose. In addition, it is a miticide, and I use this against red spider mite, which makes it a doubly useful product. Now, this is Octave, and this is my fungicide of last resort. I have it on hand ready to mix up, and this is a level 3 systemic fungicide and is typically used for botrytis on proteas, mangoes, almonds and mushrooms. I was recommended to have some on hand if needed. I've not needed it yet, but I bought it on recommendation from a commercial grower from an orchid show recently. I do also only use them when I really need to, because like other organisms, fungi can develop an immunity to fungicides, so preventative practices first. Prevention is always better than treatment, so following strategies can be used. Inspect your orchids weekly and look under the leaves and around the crowns. Quarantine new orchids for 2 weeks. I don't really have the facilities here to do a proper quarantine, so they all get inspected for pests at a minimum and sprayed with an insecticidal soap, but I also monitor for fungal issues and treat if required. Keep your area tidy, remove any dead leaves, spent flowers and spilled media where pests can take over. The damage that they can cause opens wounds for other diseases to enter. Encourage airflow with spacing or a small fan. Healthy orchids fight off pests better, and keep up your balanced fertilizer and light to keep your orchids in tip-top shape. So that's my beginner's guide to managing mould and mildew issues on balcony growing orchids here in Western Sydney. I nominally use products like the fungus gun or mancozeb, and I try prevention strategies always easiest to start with. Have you ever had a mould infection that keeps coming back? Do let me know in the comments. If this video helps you, or if you found this video useful, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see what I'm up to next week, do press the subscribe button with the notification bell turned on to be notified when I next release my video. Until next time, grow well, enjoy your plants, and remember, your orchids are always going to surprise you, and it's usually when you're not looking. See you all next week, and thanks for watching. Bye.